Hello, YouTubers. I'm Angela Logan, and this is Everyday Shenanigans. It is Friday, December 13th, 2019. Warm greetings from the High 10. I would like to bring you an update on the case in Birmingham, Alabama, that's pertaining to the kidnapping and murder of Miss Camille McKinney, aka Cupcake. And today, Dericka Brown attended court and said information was revealed. And I'm going to give you a synopsis of the story because it's so much, it's winded. I've already had to do 2 retakes trying to get the information, and my devices were not holding all this information. So I'm going to skim over the important stuff and then give my commentary thereafter. This information is brought to you by al.com, so if you would like to log on to their website to get the said information and verification of this story, please do so. Okay. The second suspect in the abduction and killing of Camille Cupcake McKinney told police she saw her boyfriend forcing the 3-year-old child to perform oral sex on him at the Centerpoint apartment. Okay. Derek Irisha Brown's statements to police were made public Friday in her preliminary hearing. Her boyfriend, Patrick Starworth, had his preliminary hearing earlier this week. Testimony from both hearings indicates the couple is pointing fingers at each other as being responsible for Camille's death while maintaining their own innocence. Starworth is 39. Brown, 29, are charged with capital murder of a child under the age of 14. If convicted, both could face the death penalty. Jefferson County Circuit Judge Clyde Jones is presiding over both cases. Meth and a sedative called trazodone was found in Camille McKinney's decomposed body, testimony shows. Okay, I'm going to skim over to get to her statement. Brown told police the couple had been together all day, including at Tom Brown Village from where Camille was abducted, but she said she was not aware of the child's presence until they stopped at a Jet Pet after leaving the public housing complex on their way back to their apartment at Woodside Condominiums. Note that Patrick Starworth says he is innocent. His attorney states innocent of the child's murder. It wasn't until Monday, October 21st, 9 days after Camille's disappearance and the day before the child's remains were found in a trash dumpster at a Jefferson County landfill, that Brown first acknowledged knowing anything about the girl. So she gave said information to the whereabouts of the child on Monday, October 21st. The child was then discovered on October 22nd, that Tuesday, just for your verification. So, from the Jefferson County Jail, Brown reached out to 2 detectives and told them she wanted to talk. She was taken to the headquarters, and then she gave her version of what transpired with Miss Camille when she vanished. She said she first became aware that the child was in her Toyota Sequoia at the Jet Pet, though no testimony was given Friday about how that came to be. Ross testified that video from the store showed Brown getting out of the SUV, going inside to pay for gas, and buying a strawberry drink. Under questioning by the prosecutor, Ross said Brown's demeanor did not indicate that anything was amiss. She seemed fine to me. She was walking fine, seemed normal, Ross said. Brown told detectives that after stopping at Jet Pep, the couple went back to their apartment, and this is where the stories given by Starworth and Brown begin to differ. Brown's version is that when they got to the apartment, she stayed outside to smoke. She went inside. She said she went into the bathroom and Starworth was in there as well. It was then she saw a shadow passed by the door and thought she was tripping. Brown had reportedly used ice or meth that day, as well as trazodone, an antidepressant sometimes used as a sedative. Brown said she went back outside to smoke, and when she came in, she made a sandwich and then went into the bathroom where she fell asleep. At some point, she got back up to use the restroom again and said she saw Camille sitting with her legs dangling off the sofa. Starworth, she said, was kneeling on the sofa in front of Camille, forcing the girl to perform oral sex on him. The detective became visibly emotional while testifying about the alleged sexual abuse and had to take a brief moment to compose himself. He said Brown said then she went back to sleep and woke up the following day. She said she asked Starworth about Camille's whereabouts and said Starworth told her, "You have been tripping." She said Starworth had a trash bag and was leaving the apartment. He asked her where the lighter fluid was, and she told them that it had been left in the previous apartment. Ross testified that Brown told detectives her boyfriend put the baby in a trash bin with old furniture. She indicated it was in the dumpster at the adjacent apartment complex, he said. Now, naturally, um, evidence was taken from the child, and it has been revealed that fingernail clippings from Camille's left hand showed the presence of Stallworth's DNA, but not Brown's DNA. Danneman, who is representing Brown, admitted into evidence a photograph of a shirtless Stallworth taken at the city jail that showed a faint scratch on the right side of his chest. An Amber Alert was issued at 10:39 for Camille McKinney, and telephone calls from Stallworth's cell phone to his mother's phone were indicated. 7 phone calls were called to his mother. Also, Ross testified under questioning by Danneman. 2 Jefferson County jail inmates came forward with the information about Stallworth, one of whom said Stallworth told him he had accidentally killed the child. Is it fair to say no one you interviewed said Miss Brown killed the child? Danneman said. Ross said it's correct, except that Stallworth told them Brown killed Camille. Danneman argued to the judge that the case against Brown did not meet the criteria for her to be charged with capital murder, but rather felony murder. We're not here to talk about whether Miss Brown is a good person, her attorney said. That would be a very short conversation. So naturally, she was taken into custody last year for kidnapping her 3 children on July 13, 2018. Sorry I'm going so fast, but it's a lot of information. Last year, July 13th, kidnapped the children from a home that was verified to be a relative's home where one child was already living. Okay? And this incident stemmed from her allegedly putting the children into a dryer. And as I stated, I mentioned to you in my video yesterday that the child was in a washing machine, but it's been confirmed in this article that it was a dryer that the child was put in. She was using that as a form of punishing the children or child. Now I'm going to give you information that the judge had said. The judge disagreed with her attorney about the lesser charge of felony murder. He said, "It's clear to me one or both of them sexually abused this child and went on to kill her and dispose of her body," Jones said. "This woman, Brown, did not come forward," he said. "She could have easily went to law enforcement." The judge said it was clear that they were acting in concert and deemed that there was more than enough evidence to forward the case to the grand jury for indictment consideration. Now, previous testimony showed that on the day of Camille's disappearance, the couple had been together the entire day and night. Video surveillance showed Stallworth at the Shell station near Tom Brown Village buying $18.91 worth of candy. Minutes later, 2 preteen girls said they were stopped by the couple in a blue Toyota Sequoia, where they were told, "I'm looking for a girl that looks like you." The girls said they were offered candy, became apprehensive, and they fled. Now, initially, Stallworth denied knowing anything about Camille's disappearance, but he did admit to approaching the children and that he bought the candy at the Shell station near Tom Brown. And then, something about him seeing the children on the property playing with a mouse trap, and he told them to leave that alone. So I'm just skimming over the basic things. Now, naturally, Stallworth said they left Tom Brown and the pair went to the Jet Pep on Center Point Parkway. Store video confirmed they had been there. They went home and Stallworth later went back out to a Chevron where he bought an energy drink and a pill for sexual dysfunction, Ross testified. Also, Ross said that the tracking of Stallworth's phone showed a lot of movement between the properties, which is adjacent to Woodside Condominium at Parkway Villa. Okay. And there is a worn pathway that's in the wooded area between the 2 complexes. And as I stated, Brown told them where to find the body, which was at a construction trash dumpster at Parkway Villas, which is mostly a vacant property, in the search for Camille. That dumpster was taken to a landfill and examined by specially trained team FBI agents who recovered Camille's decomposed body on October 22nd. And you all know that drugs were found in her system, meth and trazodone, and that Stallworth is blaming Dericka, and now Dericka is blaming him. And that's the synopsis of that. I want to give you my commentary on the said information. Okay. The fact that she saw him performing acts on the child but didn't say anything. I'd like to know who the tipsters were. They gave the information pertaining to seeing them hand out candy to the children. Wasn't an adult, because if you were an adult, you were foul to be sitting there watching them hand candy out to the kids back and forth, and you didn't do anything. Okay? And I know, I'm praying you didn't get tipster money from, reward money from Crime Stoppers. Because as I stated, who are the tipsters? Is this just the account of the children and the video that we saw of the child talking about the little feet getting in the car? Because if some adults saw this, you're ranking your foul and you didn't say anything. You didn't say anything to the people. You didn't say, hey, you don't live here. What you doing? Why you bothering these kids? Why you handing out candy? I find that suspect. If adults are the ones who gave the tips to the authorities. I've also thought that maybe Dericka told the authorities about the body right after she got arrested. But as we see, she let them know on October 21st, the day before her body was found. I wonder what took her so long. Was it the fact of sitting there, knowing you weren't getting out, you're facing another kidnapping charge of your children? Okay, I was curious about that. All the conflicting stories of the bathroom, the smoke breaks. Let me talk to you all about the smoking breaks. I find it odd that these two allegedly have not spoken with one another, but yet they're in sync with saying, I went outside to take a smoke, I came back in, I did this, woo, woo, woo. He went outside to take a smoke break, he came back in, and she smothers the baby. But yet you don't do anything. Same thing with her. I saw a shadow when I was in the bathroom. He said, I'm tripping. Go outside, take another smoke break, come back in, eat the sandwich, go to bed, wake up, see him performing oral sex on the child. But yet you didn't say anything. You didn't stop him. You didn't try to beat him up. Nothing. You didn't call the police. You didn't say anything thereafter. When you were apprehended first time, well, not apprehended, but arrested, taken in for questioning, you didn't say anything. You lied and said you didn't know the child. He did the same. They are synced in together. Their souls are synced in. And what I'm trying to say to you all about that is that I find it odd that these two allegedly have not talked to each other, but yet they give similar statements about going outside to smoke cigarettes. Now, is this because this is their normal habit to go outside to smoke, not smoke in an apartment? But I find it interesting that they both mentioned that in their statements to the police, but yet they're not supposed to know what the other one is saying to the police. But yet they both say that in their statements. They are evenly yoked in devilment. They're two demons, like minds, think alike, act alike. Now, how they got together, I don't know. How they were able to exact this crime and come to even discuss it is sickening and it's baffling. Very baffling to me. Okay, my next commentary is, I skimmed over that. The fact that when she said she saw him leaving out with the trash bag and the lighter fluid comment that he asked about lighter fluid. Well, remember there were a lot of rumors circulating on social media that the body was burned. But in the autopsy report, no mention of her body was burned. But now we hear she saying he asked for lighter fluid. Who started that? Because what are the odds that we're hearing that now after the fact? Allegedly. Now, she could be lying. I don't know. But was he trying to burn the body? Did he tell some other people that he tried to burn the body? Did he mention this while he was in jail and it leaked out? And that's when the rumors circulated? Because I think it was odd and really crass for people to be saying something about the body being burned when there was never any information revealed from the state's attorney's office or the police, because there is a gag order in this case. And so I always wondered where that rumor came from. Now, I had heard from a source in Birmingham that, some people had been chit-chattering. Certain authorities have been chattering about what was going on, little bits and pieces, and I'm starting to wonder if they were leaking out information to the public. And one person vowed to secrecy, but yet they went and whispered to somebody else and whispered to somebody else, because now we hear her making a statement about lighter fluid. But we also know the autopsy does not say the child's body was burned, but maybe he mentioned that to someone, or she mentioned it to someone in the jail, in her statements to the police. And that's when the burn rumors went out. Somebody told it. Who, I don't know. But you have to admit that's odd. Okay. The fact that the child's nails were clipped, and they have Star Wars DNA under them, which leads us to believe that Miss Camille fought. And I think that is such a vile act of having sex with a child, sodomy, whatever. And we now know that she fought. She had to fight because how would she have his DNA under her nails? And that's just a sad and disgusting thing to even have to think about or envision in your mind, this child fighting a grown-up who's raping her. I'm disgusted. 10:39, an Amber Alert went out. And obviously, they tagged his phone calls to his mother 7 times. So, what happened? You got an Amber Alert on your phone, which most of us get Amber Alerts on our phones. Did you get scared? Why are you calling your mommy? Did you call to tell her something? Did you reach her? And if you did reach her, what did you say to her? And did she have knowledge that he did something wrong or the said crime or involved in some way? Because I find that odd. Amber Alert goes out, and obviously they mentioned it to let us know he was calling his mother. And why was he calling his mother 7 times? What were you calling your mama for? Tell her what? Ask her what? Think about that. Very interesting. Okay. 2 inmates go in to talk to the police. One says he admitted he accidentally killed the child. Okay, why are you in the jail talking? That's stupid. You're trying to get off a case. You're saying you didn't have any involvement. But yet here comes an inmate saying he accidentally killed the child. Is it true? I don't know what he said, if he even said anything to anybody in the jail. Some people don't like the testimony from jail inmates because they think they're just lying so they can get off of the sentence that they're in there for. Who knows what is the truth? But we also know that's not the statement he gave the police. He puts the blame on Dericka. Now here comes an inmate saying he killed the baby accidentally. I don't know. The fact that the judge said one or both are involved in sexually abusing the child, I agree. Anybody can concur. They did this together. They were complicit. They went out looking for a girl child. They found a girl child, and they exacted the crime of kidnapping her and rape, murder thereafter. The fact that they approached 2 11-year-olds is so ridiculous to me because in this day and age, children are fast or swift. They can think. You got away with getting the little girl with the candy. And when many of you were thinking, she followed somebody she knew. But as I told you, children are children. There are ways of seducing children to follow you and do things, okay? 11-year-olds aren't going to fall for the candy act. Like I told you, that was an old ploy used many moons ago to lure children into cars and things, houses or whatever. You're going to have to come with an iPad or iPhone for an 11-year-old. Quit playing. So that shows you his mind is of a child. Dericka's mind is of a child. They think like kids. Think about it. 2 adults, old enough to be their parents, or at least one of them is, Mr. Starworth, and you thought that luring an 11-year-old with candy would work. Well, one of the other girls decided to say, hey, come on, let's go. And they fled, and I'm glad they did. There's 2 children alive right now. I think he was shaky jakey. I don't really think he wanted to go toe-to-toe with 11-year-old children. I really don't. I don't think he wanted to, because that would have been work. And naturally, there was surveillance footage, which I'm grateful that there was. And obviously, footage in this case with Miss Camille. Now, naturally, a lot of people and myself went back and forth bartering with the fact of who was in the park that day. Some people thought it was this person. Some people thought it was a parent involved. Yeah. But on record right now, they're not stating that anybody else was in that park. And they still didn't admit in all this information this week with these 2 going to court that they are the 2 in the park. Because remember, one's supposed to have been a witness and one was supposed to have been the suspect. But we now know it was one of them that lured the child out of the park. I think we all know that by now. Okay. The fact that they said they saw a lot of movement on his cell phone going back and forth to the property next door. What was he doing? Because the baby is small. You put it in a trash bag. You're taking her over to the next place. So why were you going back and forth between your property and the next property? I find that interesting. Perhaps, well, they said it was the same day, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought if there was showing movement through the night, the day to check, perhaps he was checking to see if the dumpster had been emptied. I don't know. We know that allegedly, I thought he got arrested on a Sunday, so they would have been emptying the trash on a Sunday anyway. And then that property didn't have people living there, occupants living there, or a lot of people, so they wouldn't even been emptying the trash a lot anyway. Very interesting. Because they did state the body had sat 10 days in the dumpster. So I'm curious about the going back and forth to the property. What the hell was he doing? Okay, let's see. I guess all I have next before I check out of here, it's the car. Somebody in the comment section mentioned that, and I thought that was good to bring that up before I check out. What about the car? The second car. Remember the child in the video stated they were switching cars? Where does that fit in? Because now we're hearing this testimony that the Sequoia belonged to Miss Dericka. The apartment belonged to Dericka. So who was in the other car? Just a shout out. Just a thought. Because that is interesting. That we have not thought about that. And I'm glad somebody mentioned that. If everybody is saying, the police is saying they have surveillance to show that these two were together all day, that they were at the Tom Brown hanging out, whatever they were doing, each giving a conflicting version of, I was with her, I wasn't with her, I loaned her the car, loaned her the phone, that was his version early in the week. Then she's saying she didn't notice the child until she got to the store, but yet she never notified authorities. Then she flips it around and switches around to, oh, well, then I saw her when I woke up again that morning, but you still didn't notify authorities. You had knowledge thereof. And I still believe you were complicit in going to hunt and find a child. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm not about to fall for neither one of them trying to say they didn't see the baby till later on in the evening. And I find that interesting. They're both playing that card. I didn't see the baby until we got to the store, her version. His version, I didn't see the baby till I got in the house. So he's making it seem like he was out running around without her and then walked in and saw a kid. Well, then you should have took the kid back to where the child belonged. How about that? Call the police. Hey, she got a baby here that don't belong to her. So it's BS. You all were out hunting a child. And the issue with the car, that's very interesting. Did he have another car? Was there another car? Because I always said in my other videos, you don't need two cars to kidnap a small child. Or maybe that was their thing. Wanted to be the lookout in another car. I don't know. But as you see, no testimony revealed either day that a second car was involved in the abduction and murder of Camille McKinney. Now, there are some stories. Some of you speculating about her children. Dericka's children were taken out of her custody, the three that she had, last year for the dryer incident. And they were taken to a relative's house, foster care, temporary custody. So for those of you listening to rumors or circulating rumors of somebody else having Dericka's children, her relative had her first child. And then when the kids were taken away from her last year for the dryer incident, they were placed with the relative. So that relative then had 4 of her children. And then she came to kidnap the 3 that were taken from her and went on the high-speed chase. So, for the record, Dericka's children, 3 of them were living with her at the time that they were taken from her. And they went to stay with a relative. So no other said parties had Dericka's children. And all these wild stories that people are saying and making up about where her children were, come on with all that. Y'all too old for that. And then it's already bad enough what has happened to this child. Now you all want to start making up wild stories about where her children were, where they were with her relative on this last incident of the abuse of the children being put in a dryer. And that relative had already custody of 1 of her children. And then the 3 went to stay, which I thought was noble of that relative to take those kids in so they wouldn't be separated. Information confirmation for this story, al.com. Drop your comments below. Thanks for sharing, commenting, dropping in. Love you guys. Happy holidays. Stay safe. If you see something, say something. Please say something. We cannot have any more of these stories because this is a sad, tragic story of a baby gone. And who knows if he's done anything else. And now we have to wonder about that. Has Mr. Starworth committed more crimes somewhere else? Till the next time, I am Angela Logan, and this is Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks.